Hey guys, Mr. Happy here, and today we're going to pull back things a little bit from my usual content guides, and I want to do some UI videos because I get a lot of questions about changing your UI, and I realize I should probably make some more up-to-date videos now that I've actually had the time to play the game and learn how I like my UI settings, and so we're going to talk about making modifications to your UI. In this video specifically, we're going to be looking at hotbar modifications because I get asked about these most often. Now, this is being done on the PC version, mind you. So I'd imagine most of these will work for the PlayStation 4 and, of course, the PC, but not the PS3 version. So, as I said, we're going to be looking at the hotbar specifically. Now, I'm not just going to be the kind of person that goes, oh, you can go to your HUD layout and move it around. I think that this is the most basic feature that people need to know about, is that you can go to your HUD layout and you can drag a hotbar and move it around. I think that that is probably the last thing you need to concern yourself about, and it's not something I ever get questions about. So, I'm going to be covering the things that I get questions about. For example, changing the size, hiding unassigned slots, hiding the numbers, things like that. And then I'll do a basic move around of what I think is a decent setup. And not the one I use on my actual character because I'm a very special case with the way I like my hotbars, but I'm going to do what I see to be a generally accepted way. So before you do anything with your hotbars, I highly recommend familiarizing yourself with the hotbar settings in the game. To get there, all you have to do is go to Character Configuration, and on the fourth tab on the left, Hotbar Settings. Very simple. Once you're here, you have three sub-tabs, Display, Sharing, and the Cross Hotbar, which I'm not going to get too much into because that's really for controller players, and as someone who isn't a controller player, I'm not going to tell you how to do your settings, but I will quickly go over them. So on this first tab, Display, this is actually where I get the most questions, and there's a lot of very basic features here that you can make use of. Now, the first four tabs are the ones I get the most questions about, really the first two tabs. Now, as you can see right here, you can only see my straight shot, my venomous shot, my heavy shot, and my wind bite on my bar down here. There's nothing else, there's nothing in between, there's nothing above, there's nothing below except for my parameter bar. And a lot of people ask me, how do you get your hotbars like that? How do you get them so clean without all the unassigned slots? Well, there's actually a button for it, Hide Unassigned Slots. As you can see, when I disable it, now you can see all of my empty buttons. And honestly, they're a bit of an eyesore for me, so I'm going to go ahead and hide them again. So this is really just an example. I would never set up my hotbars exactly like this. But as you can see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, and then control 1 through 0, control whatever that is, minus and equal. You can hide all of those because I'm not using them. Hide Unassigned Slots. Now, of course, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Just because you can't see them right now doesn't mean they're gone. You could very easily just go into your actions and traits, and when you go to drag an ability over them, they will reappear so you can actually edit them. So you don't have to worry about having to guess where each one is. When you actually go to place an ability on them, you will still be able to see them. Going back to our hotbar settings, the other one I get a lot of questions about is hotbar numbers. Now, as you can see, when I enable this, any other enabled hotbars, as you can see on this list, the numbers will start appearing on my screen. And honestly, those numbers just kind of take up space on my screen. I'm not really a huge fan of it. As I display all these, you can see all the numbers appearing. If I had the unassigned slots able to be seen, you would be able to see those as well. So I'm going to go back to the way it was. I, again, like turning this off. It works very well with this final setting that I'm going to go over, and I'll show you that. But we'll do that when we get to it. Now, enable hotbar cycling button, this makes this appear right here, which makes you able to change your first hotbar, your hotbar 1, into any hotbar you want it to be. You don't actually have to use hotbar 1 if you don't want to, but that's up to personal preference. I am not a huge fan of this setting right here. I've accidentally changed my hotbar often in the middle of fights because my mouse is kind of all over the place, and sometimes I just click in random places. So I don't like to have that there. So I'm going to go ahead and disable that as well. We're also going to be going into some hotbar keybinds that I think you should disable unless you have a very, very good use for them. Now, the last one, enable drag and drop repositioning, is useful if you like editing your UI without going into the HUD options. Basically, it just allows you to grab a hotbar by the number and move it around. It's a very basic feature, and it's exactly like moving it around in the HUD options, except you don't have all those other boxes all over the place. You don't have that snap grid in the back or anything like that. So play around with these settings and find what you like the most. Again, I like keeping my unassigned hotbar slots gone. I don't like seeing them. I don't like seeing the numbers unless I have a good reason for it at the time. I dislike hotbar cycling button, and the drag and drop repositioning I'm going to turn off so I don't accidentally move my hotbar in the middle of playing the game again with my random clicks around the map. I try to keep it around the middle, but sometimes it slips. Now, the last part is displaying. You saw me play with these a little bit before. You can actually display all the hotbars that you want. As you can see, even though the numbers aren't there anymore, I can just press display on all of them, and now I've got a ton of hotbars all over the place. As you can see, hotbars 1 through 6 are horizontal, and hotbars 7 through 10 are vertical. So again, this is just depending on how many hotbars you feel like you need. You just display the ones that you want to use, and just don't display the rest of them. You don't have any need for those extra displays to be there. It can really distract you and make your screen look a little bit messier than it is. Now, moving on to the sharing tab, this is actually one that a lot of new players seem to make mistakes with. They'll set up their hotbars because they didn't know they were shared, and then they'll go to change the hotbars of another class and be like, why are my bard abilities still here? Or why are my paladin abilities still in my hotbars? And it'll be because you accidentally had your shared hotbars enabled. Now, shared hotbar does exactly what it says it does. It makes it so that if you enable that, for example, I just enabled 6, that for every single class or job that you play on, that hotbar will be exactly the same for all of them. Doesn't matter what you're playing, they'll be exactly the same. I find the shared hotbar good for things like mounts and food and minions and emotes, things like that. Basic features that you're going to be using regardless of what class you're on. However, I do not like enabling the horizontal ones that I actually use 1, 2, and 3 for the most part, because that is really where I place all of my abilities that are class and job specific. So I highly recommend turning off your shared hotbars if you're regularly editing hotbars that are very class specific. But I do recommend enabling the vertical hotbars if you are using them, because you can place things such as mounts and minions on those. Of course, if you use the cross hotbar, it works the same way. If you cycle through your 1 through 8 for your settings, you can set shared hotbars that'll always have the same things, or you can disable all of them and make it so that you never have to worry about accidentally changing the wrong hotbar. Now, again, I'm not very big on the cross hotbar, but I will very quickly go over that. You do have some basic settings here, such as being able to enable it and actually using your pet hotbar as well. You can also change the way that you access your abilities with L2 and R2 if you're using a PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 controller, where you can either set it to hold them, you can set it so that you just toggle whether or not you want to use them, or mix, so you can do either one and it'll work. Maybe you like to toggle L2, but you like to hold R2. That could just come down to personal preference. And then there are things such as you can expand the hold controls, how exactly they work. Cross hotbar display types, in case maybe you don't like the way that it's set up with the D-pad and buttons being on both sides. I'm the kind of person who likes to have both of my D-pads on the left-hand side and both of my buttons on the right-hand side, but that one actually does look pretty confusing. And then, of course, you do have your ability to set hotbars that are only enabled whenever your weapon is sheathed or whether your weapon is out, which can definitely change the way you socialize or you actually perform in a fight. But those are all of the basic hotbar settings, but we're not exactly done with showing you how the hotbars work, because again, the HUD options are really the most basic things, but we are going to go to the HUD options in order to show you this right here. Now, before I do this, I would like to point out a few things about the hotbar itself. One, you have this lock and unlock icon right here. When it is locked, you cannot change your hotbar. You cannot move anything that's already on your hotbar. You can place new abilities on your hotbar, but now you can't move it. When you unlock it, you're able to remove it, move it, whatever you want to do with it. So that is another very basic feature of the hotbar. Now, moving on, we're going to go back to the HUD layout. And this is only to show you something. In fact, I'm going to place an ability. I'm going to go to my actions, and I'm going to place Heavy Shot on hotbar 2. Now, when I go to my HUD layout, I'm going to move hotbar 2 to the middle of the screen so that you can see Heavy Shot right here. As you can see, Heavy Shot is in the middle of my screen right here. It's an alright size. It's just kind of sitting there just for this example. But one thing that you're able to do is you're able to change the size of your hotbar. Now, this setting actually works on every single UI element except the chat, I believe. But if you hold Control plus you press your home button, you can actually change your window size. Now, this is a feature that works for everything, and I'll show you that in a second. But as you can see, I can make this hotbar super small, and I can make it super big. A lot of people ask me, how do you get your hotbars so big like that? Because I have Bloodletter and Misery Zen on its own hotbar, and it's much bigger than everything else. Well, this is how. Control plus home, go to your HUD settings, and you can just completely go through there. It'll give you an update to the size in your chat log as long as you have your system messages enabled, and it goes anywhere from 60% to 140%. If you're looking to just kind of stretch it to any size you want, unfortunately that doesn't work. So now that that's out of the way, I'm going to go back to my default settings so you can see that. And that's really the basics of how to change your hotbar around and make it unique to you. Now, after that, it's really all about figuring out which ones you want to display, what you want to use them for, and what's best for you on your screen. I know a lot of people who like moving their vertical hotbars over here to the right side. I'm somebody who likes having most of my hotbars closer to my character on my screen. I just like seeing the global cooldown go round and round. But a lot of people also will move their basic hotbars to the very bottom of their screen so there's no clutter. And there's one last setting that I want to show you guys, and that is your hotbar keybind. So I'm going to go right here to your keybinds in your system settings. And there's really only one thing I want to let you know. I will click on the hotbar one real quick. All you do here is you're going to be able to set your keybinds for each individual slot on the hotbar. It'll give you the hotbar number and which slot you're going to be editing. As you can see, most of mine are empty because I don't use hotbars, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Like, I don't really use those for anything. And even on my vertical ones, I don't really have those keybound on my main character. I just click those because they're just things like food and mounts and things like that. But there is one very important setting, and I've seen a lot of people mess this up, and I myself have messed this up if you do not change this setting, and this can confuse you. Now, here we have a lot of basic commands other than hotbars, but the most crucial one is the switch to hotbar area. Now, what does this mean? Well, for example, it says switch to hotbar 7. If I were to click Shift plus 7, it changes my primary hotbar to hotbar 7. Even though hotbar 7 is a vertical one, it can change my primary one to 7, 8, 9, or 10. Just be with my settings. You could change it to any single one. By default, I believe all of these are bound. Shift 1 through 0, I believe these are all bound. If you do not want to accidentally change your hotbar, I highly recommend getting rid of all these by not deleting them, by right-clicking them to clear like it says. There we go. And now, there's no chance of me accidentally changing my hotbar. Of course, I need to get it back to 1, but that's for another time. I do highly recommend getting rid of all these, unless you find yourself doing this on purpose. Like, if this is part of how you play, get rid of the switch to hotbar. And that's all I really have. So now we're just going to go through some basic hotbar changes, ways that you can modify your UI a little bit to make it look a little bit neater. I know I'm not exactly the pinnacle of neatness, but I am going to move a few things out of the way, and I'm going to show you how a lot of people tell me my hotbars should be. So a lot of people will move their hotbars just right down here to the very bottom, at least the ones they have enabled. Now you can also, if you hold shift while you're moving, you can actually lock your hotbar to the grid in the background, which can definitely make for even neater UIs, although sometimes it's a little bit finicky. Usually you have to start moving your hotbar first, and then you have to hold shift after you've started moving it. And then so people will place it there, and then they'll place hotbar 7 and 8. We'll go on the far right side here. You can also move these things around if you need to get to the ones in the back. You can very neatly organize these ones over here, all on the right hand side, so that they don't take up too much space. Your gill, you can all put that right there, make it all nice and close together. Now, I also like to move this out of the way. I usually have that disabled. I haven't had it disabled on my main character for a while now, but there we go, all nice and tidy. And then, of course, you can modify them if you want. Things such as your parameter bar. For example, one thing I've seen a lot of people do is they'll put their party list down here, and then they'll put their parameter bar right above the party list. And then they'll change it. They'll make it so it's not huge numbers, and they got this right here, parameter bar, right above their own parameters on the top of the list. And then you can also place things such as your experience bar. You can also disable this, but we're going to save that for another video. You can put your experience bar right here at the very bottom, so it's not really in your way. There we go. Let's make sure it's at least on the screen a little bit. There we go. Move the experience bar down here, so again, not so big on your screen. Alliance list is something I won't really be able to show on this character because I would need an alliance to do it, and I don't think I could go into front lines and they would be like, oh, you're just changing your UI around? Sure. Status effects, another thing that's also good to have by your party list. Some people like to make it small, some people like to make it big. I kind of wish you could separate positive and negative status effects, but unfortunately you cannot. You can also set it over by your abilities, and bam. Even though you can't see most of my abilities right now, as you can see just from my HUD options, I've moved things around and made things a lot tidier here. So I'm going to wrap this video up here. Hopefully this helped you figure out a way to change your hotbars a little bit. We're going to be going into more UI settings in future videos. So if you liked the video, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. Be sure to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and also check the description of the video if you're looking for game deals, by the way. I'm going to start offering those to all of my viewers. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.